Alright, let's go ahead and get started with the podcast. We're going to start by talking about the OG Anunoby trade. Before I get into any content though, I just want to wish y'all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope the holidays were great for y'all. The Christmas season was great for me. It was awesome. I really enjoyed the break, had a lot of fun, and I also want to apologize for not getting an episode out last week. I meant to, but I was going on a mission trip with my church, a 3-day trip, and I meant to get an episode out on Wednesday, but I got this new audio mixer and I was trying to work with it. I recorded an episode, but the audio quality was not very good and I was unable to get an episode out, so I apologize for that. But we're back here today and I'm really excited about this new audio mixer because I'm able to record audio through it and it has some sound effects on it, and I put some custom sound effects on it. So let's see, let's go with a little bonk sound here. You like that? I kind of like that. So we also got some other sounds. Got got a bruh sound effect. Got a lot of stuff in there. I'll see how I can incorporate that into the podcast. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the content. That's what y'all are here for. Y'all are not here to hear about the audio mixer, but let's go ahead and talk about the OG Anunoby trade. So on Saturday, the Toronto Raptors traded OG Anunoby to the New York Knicks, and the Knicks got OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn, while the Raptors received RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round pick from the Detroit Pistons. Interesting trade. We've been hearing trade rumors with OG Anunoby for a very long time. So it's really not surprising whatsoever that OG got traded. However, I was really surprised by the timing of it. The timing of it was a little bit weird, it's really surprising that happened already. I didn't realize that a trade was about to go down, and then I got the notification that Anunoby had been traded, so that was really interesting. Let's start by talking about OG Anunoby and like what he provides for the Knicks, because that's the biggest part of this trade. I like Anunoby. A few years ago, I was a huge fan of his. I still like him, but I don't love him quite as much. There are some areas of his game that haven't improved quite as much as I would like his creation ability. I think he provides a lot of valuable traits, like his three-point shooting, his perimeter defense, but he's not an amazing scorer. He's not a great playmaker. He doesn't really create his own shot, as well as you'd like. And so I think he's a great role player, a great role-playing starter, but he's not a star. He's not a star, and so that's my one issue with him, is that he doesn't quite fit that star archetype, because he isn't a great shot creator for himself and his teammates. However, he is a very valuable player, and we've seen in the past him provide pretty good impact, in a very valuable role, and so I like that, and I think he will be a great fit next to Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle. So for that, I like this trade, and I like what he brings to the team, and I think he is a better fit for the Knicks than RJ Barrett was. And so I really like that. Now, Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn, I don't think they're that big pieces in this trade. I think they're solid players, but honestly, I don't think either will play a huge role. Achiuwa may play a bit of a bigger role than Malachi Flynn, because right now, the Knicks don't have much in their front court. They have Isaiah Hartenstein. I hope I said that name right. Who's a good player, but other than him, they don't have many bigs, so we could see him play a decent amount, but Malachi Flynn, I'm not sure what his role is going to look like in New York, but I do love what OG Anunoby provides for this team, and so I like that the Knicks were able to bring him in. Now let's talk about what this trade means for the Raptors. The biggest piece for them in this trade is Emmanuel Quickley. So I'll start with him. I like Emmanuel Quickley a lot. He's a plus scorer who can score on decent volume. He's also a really good perimeter shooter. When you look at his numbers this season, he's shooting really well from the perimeter, and that's from mid-range and three-point range. He's been good. He's got a little bit of creation. He's not a great creator, but he's really good at limiting turnovers, and he's a solid defender. Despite being pretty small, he's not a big player. He's, I think, 6'3", 190 pounds, so he's a smaller player, but still able to provide some decent impact on the end of the floor. It'll be really interesting to see if the Raptors will bring him back as a restricted free agent. I think they will, assuming they made a deal like this. I think they want him long term. They'll give him a contract. Apparently, he wants a contract between, I think, $25 and $30 million, which that's not bad at all, honestly. Like, I think they could end up, signing him to a team-friendly deal, which would be awesome. That would be great. So I love that for them. Another piece of this deal is RJ Barrett. Honestly, RJ Barrett's not great. Not a great player. I'm not a big fan of his. He's not very efficient as a scorer. He can score on volume. He can get to the rim, but he isn't a great shooter. He's also not a great passer, not a great defender. There's not a lot to like about his game. And he's on a decently sized contract. He's not on his rookie contract anymore. He's on his second contract. And it's not huge. So it's not like a horrific contract, but he's just not good enough to make the money that he's making. I think he's making around between $25 and $30 million, and I'm just not sure that he's worth that contract. And so, I think the Raptors bringing in RJ Barrett is what allowed them to get Emmanuel quickly. I think that RJ Barrett is not a big part of this deal. He'll play with the Raptors, but I just don't think that he's a major part of the team's future. And I think that, honestly, he's a pretty negative player, not a great player. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. That's just my evaluation of him as a player. I think there are a lot of weaknesses in his game. And so those are my thoughts about him. But I do love the fact that the Raptors were able to get Emmanuel quickly. He's really good. He's young. He's younger than Anunoby. I think those two are kind of similar players. I know they're at different points in their development. When you look at where Anunoby was as a player at the same age that Quickly is now, he was providing similar impact. And so I like this trade. I think it's a decent trade for both sides. Honestly, a win-win. It wasn't a trade that I was like, oh, I love this for either team, but I do think both teams got decent returns here for players that they didn't necessarily want long-term, it seems like. So I like that, and I think it's a solid win-win trade for both sides. And yeah, those are my thoughts about the trade and what it means for both of these teams.